right, on the bench tonight is a Thorens TD145, that's the Mark II turntable. A friend of mine has a friend whose father is moving out of his house, and her father has a bunch of really nice vintage stereo equipment. It was very nice for her to pass this on to my friend who gave this to my son and I. And it's really nice to have this in the collection. And we're in the process of analyzing this and restoring it. Right now, it needs a new belt. I'm going to open this up. There's a bunch of things we're going to do to this. First of all, we're going to replace the belt, and that's on order from Amazon. We're going to lubricate any parts that can be lubricated. We're going to take a look at some of the tensions and like the height for the up and down. And then, also address anything that comes up along the way. But right now it needs a belt, but it's in really nice shape. And what's really important to note is that the dust cover's in great shape, and it has an original Shure stylus from the 1970s. This is a M95ED, and I know I've worked with enough of these. I know this is original. And we'll see how this sounds. I'm sure it's going to sound good, but the fact that it has an original stylus really tells me that it's been cared for nicely. So let's go ahead and we'll get this opened up, and I'll do a kind of a play-by-play as we go here. Okay, so as I said, while we're waiting for the new belt, and the old one was really loose on here. I don't have it right here, but I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to put a little bit of synthetic oil in the motor. That way, this keeps things smooth. And any other spots where I see an obvious place for grease, I have actual silicone grease, really good stuff, as well as this oil. But right now, I don't really see anything else that needs to be addressed. So we got this lubricated a little bit. And now we're going to go ahead and open this up, and let's see what it looks like inside. All right, I unscrewed the feet. We'll take this off here. I noticed that the rubber has completely dried on these. I have like a lot of different parts and rubber pieces, so I'll be replacing these with a more modern, newer rubber, because these are all cracked and hard. So that's just like one of the things whenever I'm working on something, I'll make a note of what needs to be replaced when I put it back together. So we'll get new feet for this, but let me open this up. Usually these are pretty straightforward. Oh, this is cool. All right, there's the motor. This is the lifter circuit. It looks like there's a solenoid. And there actually is a little bit of logic to this. This must be for the tonearm lift when it's at the end of the record, or the logic to turn on the motor. So there's a little bit of smarts to this, and it looks like the parts appear to be in good shape. Over here we have a couple other parts. I don't see a lot that needs to be lubricated here, but I'm going to take a look at the turntable mount, and there's a couple screws here. I see 1, 2, 3. These probably need to be adjusted a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and take a look here. Okay, I disassembled one of the springs, and there's 3 of them. Looks like the foam is okay. That doesn't have to be replaced. It's not disintegrating. But I noticed this rubber appears to be real dry. I have this stuff. It's called Rubber Renew. I have it in an eyedropper. What it does is it puts liquid and pliability back into the rubber. And it rehydrates old rubber so it doesn't get tacky and hard or stiff. So I'm going to do rubber restore on all of these parts prior to putting back together, and then I'm going to take a look and see if the turntable height looks good. So I'm going to do that one by one here, and there's a total of 3. Okay, all 3 of these have been rubber restored, and I also noticed there's a little bit of rubber right here and a couple other spots that touch. So what I did is I put that hydrating fluid on there, so that'll preserve it and give it many more years. Because when rubber goes bad, what happens is parts start rubbing, or they make noise and they don't touch quite the same. So there's really not much more to do in here. I like a bouncy turntable. What I mean by that is I like to have it flexible so that if you're walking by and you're playing a record or you slam a door, there's a less chance of the needle skipping. So I loosened these up a little and then got a ruler here, and I have these all at the same height, a little looser than they were when I first opened it because it seemed to be a little bit tight. But anyways, we'll take a look and see how it goes. But at this point, we're good. We are good. I don't see anything else that needs work in here. We just got to get that new belt. I'm going to put the back on. Okay, back's been put on, and I put some new rubber feet on. And then these older ones, which are kind of disintegrating, we can just toss them out. So that kind of refurbishes that. Let's go ahead and flip it over. And the new belt arrived. We'll go ahead and put this on. Rather easy. It goes right on, and I can see it's working really good. New belt is on, and 33 1/3. This is a phone app that you put on your turntable. Look at that, 33.33. It's like perfect because it should be 33.33, and you can't expect it to be dead on by the hundredths there, or the tenths of a digit. So that's exactly on. Let's try the faster speed, which is 45. And 45, it's bouncing kind of between 45, 40, like upper 44, lower 45. That's dead on as I see it. So that's in really good shape. So right now, speed is good. What I'm going to do now is take a look at this tone arm adjustment. This is called a cueing arm, and it goes up and down. And I'm going to go ahead and see if this is set right. And I have a adjustment, like a, what do you call it, like a hex key here to make that adjustment. So I'll take a look at that in a minute. Okay, I made a slight adjustment, and now the cueing, look at that, works perfect. I also made some adjustments. This is what's called anti-skate, and then you also have the amount of pressure which goes to the needle, and you make some adjustments here. And I know how to do that. You kind of make this levitate, and then once you levitate, you add it to like 1 or 2 or 3 grams, and this is set to kind of a normal tracking force, as it's called, or weight. And right now, it's working good. This particular unit has a replaceable tone arm. You can actually unscrew this, and it's modular. This entire thing comes off, and you can not only replace what's called the head shell here, which is the cartridge and the needle, but you can replace the whole tone arm. So it's kind of cool. And I did some research, and Thorens only made this model for like 1 year. It's a little bit different, and it took a while to figure out because it moves around on this pole. But generally, I tightened it up with a screwdriver, and it seems to be holding pretty well. At least acceptably, to where it's not making any changes when I'm playing any records. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and put this back together and give it an overall cleanup, and then we're going to go ahead and hook it up to a vintage Pioneer stereo, and we'll play some music.